Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Cosmic Conversation with your host, Julie Hedges. And tonight I have a very, very special show for all of us. And I'm so glad that you are taking a little time to tune in to this special broadcast that I'm bringing together a panel of wonderful show hosts and contributing writers to talk about our animal allies, those who are the four-legged, the winged ones, the swimming ones, the creepy crawlers, the ones that hide underground, the ones that fly overhead, who are our messengers and our helpers and our allies all the time, but even more so now during some trying times. And so I want to go ahead and bring on my very special guests, starting with Leslie Cirinesi and Neshi Lokotz, who are contributing writers and show hosts. Leslie, thank you for being on the program tonight, and thank you, Ms. Neshi, for being on the program tonight. Leslie, of course, is our resident animal communicator, and she does personal readings for people across the globe working with animals and their human counterparts to help facilitate great communication and understanding and bridging that gap between the human world and our helpers and allies who don't speak English. Necessarily. They might, I don't know. She'll have to tell us. And she is, of course, been writing for Star Nations magazine for quite a few years, for 5 years now. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years now.
Flies
I've had, yeah, time flies. And I've had the privilege of working with her in consult for my four-legged friends. And if you have not, I would definitely invite you to reach out to Leslie. And a little bit later in the program, we'll have the links in the chat so you can get a hold of Leslie to have your own consultation. Of course, Neshi, our producer, our publisher, our star, the whole reason why we're able to come together, Neshi Lokotz.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here with everyone.
Awesome. And thank you for joining the chat, those of you who are coming up in. And I invite you to share it out, maybe on your timeline, maybe with a friend who might be interested in animal allies and helpers. And I'm hearing some clicky.
That's coming from Leslie.
In the background.
Sorry, I'm not touching anything.
Not touching nothing.
I didn't know if it was like. All right. Well, we'll do the best that we can with our audio. I know I've had my
That's better.
I was just moving it to see if it helped.
It did.
Yeah. And we can also see your face a little bit better too. That's perfect. Awesome. So you gals have been working with the animal kingdom for a long time as our allies and our friends. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you to be part of this panel, to talk about how our animal friends really are our allies and our supporters, and we're walking this road together. We're all walking each other home. It doesn't necessarily have to be just the humans walking each other home. It's like we're all on this rock together. So thank you for being a part of that. And I'm going to take just a quick moment to share this over to my page, this broadcast.
Good.
And
Thank
Neshi
you.
said she's sharing the show. So I apologize that
It just takes a second.
minute. I'm sorry.
It just takes a second.
Yeah, it just takes.
Because as you were talking, I did the same thing.
I just have to find it here in my.
Yeah. It's been a while since the three of us were on the same page in virtual Facebook land.
Yes.
It's been a while. So Leslie, can you hear me? No. Still can't hear me. Shucks. We're having just a little bit of technical difficulty, I think. Yeah.
And I had to turn my sound down. Now I'm going to share it to my tarot journey page too. So I have fans over there as well. My book page. I had someone message me saying, "Oh, I'm trying to get in." So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I don't think Leslie can hear me.
Oh, Leslie, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. I still can't hear Neshi.
Still can't hear Neshi. So, Neshi, I'll be glad to.
She's. You're going to be like you're an animal communicator.
I'll be the bridge between. Yeah.
Technology.
Maybe if Leslie used her earbuds, it might change.
Neshi had a suggestion about if you had some earbuds, to try earbuds, if that might help at all.
Yeah, I could try that.
Okay. So while Leslie is going to look for her earbuds, I want to thank Rochelle for dropping by, and thank you for being here tonight. And Violet is here. Violet is the creator of these wonderful herbal organics, body butters and soaps and good smelly stuff. I know that Neshi really sings the praises of her products. So,
it's kind of for me finding a body butter or a lotion that I can actually use and not have a reaction to it. And it also hydrates. It's like finding a good pair of jeans to fit, because you know how hard that is. It's kind of like that. So when Violet and I found each other, because she's been a long time listener to the shows, and she said, "Would you mind testing this out for me?" And I'm going, "Oh my God, yes!" And I use it all the time now. It's the best thing I've found that works for me. Yeah, the body butter. It's my favorite.
And Cindy is in too. Good evening, Cindy. I'm glad you are here. And Glenderlyn, my friend Glenderlyn from a Facebook group, she's in. She says the sound is reverberating. Yeah, we're having we're trying to get things going. So maybe if you refresh the screen on your computer, or if you're using your phone for the broadcast, if you jump off the page real quick and then jump back on into the broadcast, that might help with the sound. Thank you, Leslie, for your earbuds. Yeah, I can. Your voice is projecting a little bit more, so thank you for trying that. Now, Neshi,
let's cross the fingers. Still can't hear me. Still can't hear me. Nope. Now the other thing she can do is
Leslie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rob.
Yes. Isn't that weird? I'm gonna look at what I have on my audio setting. I have my Yeti stereo microphone, so that.
But I can't hear Neshi.
That is funky.
So I will continue to translate. And we'll be okay. Before we get into our talk tonight, hi, Carol. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Before we get into our topic, I would like to just do a quick grounding and focusing as we're all coming together. When we do come together for a cosmic conversation, this is soul work. We're having a good time. We're having a great conversation. And we're going to talk about how the animals and humans really work together. But this is soul work. We're actually doing soul work. So we want to create that container so that we can really invite in the best of our heart and our soul and our working together. So if you would join me wherever and whenever you are listening to this, and just place both feet on the floor and imagine them connecting through the floor into Grandmother Earth, and just affirming in your heart with me. My feet are connected to Grandmother Earth, and I am grounded. My whole body, my organs, cells and bones, my skin, my energy centers, my chakras, my meridians, my brain and all its synapses, my auric fields are connecting through my heart, down through my feet, into the heart of Grandmother Earth to be grounded. And I am grounded. And taking a deep breath in and exhaling that out. And now in your heart, if you would think about your appreciation, your love for your animal friends and allies. Maybe you have some who are still here on the earth plane. Maybe you have some who have gone to heaven or the summer lands or the other side. Your appreciation and your love for them calls their spirit to your heart and into our sacred space as our allies, as our friends, as our helpers, knowing that as we love them, they love us. And so it is. Amen. Amen. I love to do that quick grounding. And I tell you what, I have Neshi to thank for that, because about a year and a half ago, I think you were really helping us focus on grounding and reminding us every day. So I had started doing that grounding practice based on your reminders. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's good. It's good to know. And we so need it right now. Everybody to be grounded and centered, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to talk tonight about our animal allies during difficult times. And because I know both of you really work one-on-one with our animal helpers and allies and do so all the time, I wanted to ask both of you, starting with Leslie, if you could share a quick story about your animal ally. Maybe it's a recent story, or maybe it's a story from long ago that kind of got you started on your path with animal allies. Just an animal ally story.
Mm-hmm.
So Leslie, among your many, many of them, which would you like to share tonight?
Well, I think, my favorite one is about Brutus the bear, Brutus the grizzly bear. Because, as you know, animals are just wonderful teachers, really, really, truly gifted and helpful. And, if you remember my story, I had been able to talk to animals when I was a child, but my parents and my family convinced me it was my imagination. I shut it off for 45 years. And the day that I met Brutus the bear, it all came flooding back open. He helped me open the doors back up. I think I got his picture right here. As a matter of fact, there he is, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
There he
Hold
is.
it up. Oh, look at that. He's got a nice smile.
He's a handsome boy. His communication was crystal clear. He helped me to realize that the things that he was communicating to me could not possibly be my imagination, because they were things that I wouldn't have come up with. Like, he kept telling me how much he loved candy canes, and I thought, no, that just can't be right. That just can't be right. So, and then his keeper, his animal or his human family, told me that, oh yeah, he loves candy canes. It's like one of his favorite things. So it gave me my aha moment that told me, well, obviously, if I were making that up or thinking in my own thoughts, I wouldn't have had candy canes. So he was very helpful, and he continued to help me, open that door up a little bit further. And so, I owe him a lot of credit.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. I remembered when you were telling that it was some kind of food that you wouldn't think as an ordinary kind of thing.
Right.
You know, bears like fish, or bears like honey, right? Like Pooh Bear. And so before I asked Neshi to share her story, I wanted to know if you have a sense of how Brutus knew that you could hear him.
It's really interesting, because I think that he thinks he's a human. He was raised since he was born, basically, and ever since he opened his eyes, he saw, his keepers, Amy and Casey, and so he, was sleeping in their bed. He was sitting on the couch with them watching TV. He sat at the table at Thanksgiving, and I think that he's been communicating all along. It's just nobody understood him until I came along, and so he's very chatty. He sounds like a little boy. He's just full of energy and just full of glee all the time. And so yeah, it was really interesting that it just came through. So now he kind of thinks he does actually have a personal animal communicator that's there for him anytime he wants. So sometimes he thinks that, anything he asks for, he should get right away.
Oh, okay.
He asked for popcorn once, and I didn't get it till the next day. And he was like, hey, I asked for popcorn. I'm like, where am I going to get popcorn? I have to go get it. So, just because you asked doesn't mean I can magically, make it appear. But he's amazing, and I'm actually heading out there in a few days to go see him. So I'm pretty excited.
Great. Oh, that's great.
Does he talk to you when you are not with him physically? Okay.
Yeah, so the good news is I can talk to animals without being face to face with them. So I check in with him all the time. Well, I check in with all the bears at the Montana Grizzly Encounter. And but yeah, I usually do all my animal communication, over the phone, like I did with you. And when I got done with George, for Neshi. And so usually I don't even really need a picture, but I like having a picture so I can see what they look like and see their cute little faces. So I just use a photo.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. That's always a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Miss Neshi, what about you? An animal story that maybe kind of really solidified your relationship with the animal world, or something recent or something inspiring?
Oh my gosh. It's a good thing Leslie was telling stories, because it gave me a little time to think, which one?
Yeah.
Pick. So, and I've shared this one before. It has more to do with power animals. I've always had canine in my life. Always. Even as a kid, we've always had dogs. And I had a certain relationship with them, right? And so I never really understood it quite to the depth that I finally did a few years ago. I was actually at Olivet College and Great Lakes Retreat.
Great Lakes Retreat.
Right. And it was the first year that I wasn't teaching. I was actually a participant. And I went and sat in a class, one of the breakout sessions, and they were talking. They were doing a short class on animal guides. And so we were sitting in circle, and of course, we did the meditation. And the teacher said, imagine one of your power animals coming to you. Okay. So the first thing I thought of was wolf, because I have two of them that walk with me. They came in with me at birth, right? At my birth. And so I thought about the wolves, and in my mind's eye, I could see this wolf across the room from me, and he is big, huge. And he came running right at me and jumped right into me. And it was the first time I'd ever felt that emotional, spiritual, physical, because I could literally, it went like, when it jumped into me, and since that time, whenever I turn to my spiritual team and ask for assistance, certain things, I know that the wolves are there with me, and him particularly. And so and I've always had dogs, and look, it took 3 years to get George, but we have another one.
And you were telling us before we went on that George is where's George this evening?
No, you'd think he'd be up here with me, right? But no.
Right, we're talking about animals tonight.
I know. Well, he when I left, when I was getting ready to leave, he was sleeping on the couch on his back, legs up, and kind of curled a little bit. He's totally played up. He had puppy daycare today, and the name of his puppy daycare is Doogie's Daycare and Spa here in Toma. And so whenever he comes home like that, he's Doogie tired. And we laughingly tease and saying tomorrow he's Doogie hungover because he sleeps most of the day. He just plays so hard. He comes home and he'll say, "Mommy, I'm so tired."
He got to play with all of his friends today, so he's light.
Did. He's such a good boy.
Thank you both for sharing your stories. And I want to invite those who are here with us live, if you would like to share your animal helper stories or a power animal story or an animal ally story with us, we want to get that on the air. We want to get that out because we want to affirm it for ourselves and affirm it in this sacred container that what you are experiencing is real. It absolutely is. And I'm going to share, I'm going to share one. And I also brought some resources with me from my bookshelf about, I'm sure a lot of us have heard about author Ted Andrews. So here we have Animals Speak.
I'm going to pull it back just a little bit.
Okay.
There we
How
go.
about that?
That's good.
Animals Speak. So this is a wonderful dictionary of animals and what they really mean as far as working with the human community. But always when you are looking at these resources, I say to weigh it in your heart, because they usually give you lots of correspondences of this and this and this and this and this, but how that animal is working with you might be in, one particular avenue. There's also another favorite from Ted Andrews, Animal Wise. This has a few other animals in it. And another one, Ted Farmer. Yeah, his name is Ted, isn't it?
Stephen.
Sorry, Stephen Farmer. Animal Spirit Guides. So here we are. I'm sorry, I was looking at the back of the book. Everybody's seeing like, how come she didn't know the name of the guy? Like, because I'm looking at the back of the book. So
that's an awesome book. I love that book.
Yeah. And he has some good animal cards too. Stephen Farmer does. I have an adult version and a kid's version of animal guide
Wow.
cards from him. So I'm going to share an animal ally story that really surprised me. So I've been well on my path by this time that I had this occurrence, but it was a complete surprise. It wasn't something that I was seeking out. So I will just get into the story. A lot of you know that I have had my beloved Molly Valentine Hedges, and she was a big white English bulldog. So if you can imagine one of those gas grill tanks that are big and round and white and put legs on it, that's kind of what my Molly looked like. She was big and round and had that flat nose, but my Molly Valentine baby. And I always have thought of her as my little girl, my little child, because I don't have human children. And so she walked on. She went to heaven in 2016. And of course, that was a huge change to my routine, a huge change of my life, because for the last 3 years of her life, she had several health challenges. And so all of my focus was on, okay, there are responsibilities I have, but then before anything else, have to check on Molly, have to organize my day around, check on Molly, make sure she's got all of her things and her appointments and her medicines and all of that. So she left, she moved out in March. And so right after she moved out, it was after work, and I didn't have any reason to rush right home after work because my schedule had so abruptly and forever changed. So I went to the park, to one of my favorite spots, which is just right down the street from me, to my favorite tree. And now this tree is in Indiana's historic tree register, and it's about 175 years old. It's huge. It really reminds me of that tree of life picture that we had long time ago for our show, Neshi, when we did that Gather the World tree.
Yeah.
Looks like that. Mm-hmm. And one thing I love about this humongo tree is that she has developed in her root system a little spot that looks like a seat. So she loves people so much that she's even developed a little seat. And you can always tell, you can tell that she loves people because they always drag one of those park benches underneath her. I mean, people who don't even know that they love trees know that they love this tree. So she loves being with people. All right. So I go and I sit with her, and I'm just talking to her like I'm talking to you right now, because I know that she's a being just like I'm a being, and I'm telling her about how my life has changed and all of that good sorts of stuff. And also just trying to enjoy the beautiful spring afternoon, because it was gorgeous and the sun was, dappling through the leaves and all of that. And about 50 yards away, there's just, grass, just flat grass. About 50 yards away, I see this squirrel kind of bounce, 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 bounce. Okay, fine. They're everywhere. This is the park. And so I see him, and he's just bounce, 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 coming right for me. And I'm still just in this reverie of trying to enjoy the day, and he's getting closer and closer, and he's coming right for me. There's many other places to run, but he is running right toward me, and he's getting closer and closer, and I'm trying to enjoy, and I'm also keeping an eye on this crazy thing. And I'm like, am I going to have to dive off of the tree to avoid whatever's going on here? He keeps coming closer and closer and closer. And by this time, I'm looking at him. And about, I'm going to estimate about 8 feet away, he stops. He looks at me, eyeball to eyeball. I'm like, what's going on with this crazy squirrel? You know, I'm trying to mind my own business. I'm in grief. I'm just, you know, trying to enjoy the day. And what is this thing going on here? So I'm looking, he's looking, and then he takes off again, right for me, and it's about 3 feet. He breaks to my left, and then he's gone. And I'm like, okay, all right. So whatever that was, take a breath and go back to just trying to enjoy the spring day. And I kind of rest my head back against grandmother tree. And then as I'm resting my head back against grandmother tree, I see something. I see something. What? I see this head poke around the side of the tree. And we're eyeball to eyeball again. And knowing what I know about this, like, oh, this is not just some crazy kamikaze squirrel thing going on. So I say, hi, I'm Julie. You must have a message for me. And I will never forget this. And I'm sorry if I get emotional.
Mm-hmm.
What I heard was in my, inner ear. It kind of sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but even faster. But this is what the squirrel told me verbatim. I'm sorry about the creature you call Molly. And then shot up the tree. It was done. I'm sorry about the creature you call Molly. So, of course, I was just kind of stunned and taken aback, because I know that was not ever something that I would think of. I've always referred to Molly as my daughter. So she's never been a creature. She's my daughter, Molly. And then that squirrel saying, I'm sorry about that creature you call Molly. So so here I am in that experience. And then afterward, I'm thinking, how did this squirrel from way over there know what's going on here? And so I figured that out too. Grandmother tree is huge up here. And she's even huger. That's a word because I'm an English teacher. She's even huger down here. So as I'm telling Grandmother Tree about my love for Molly and how my life has just utterly and completely changed, I am convinced that she put out in her network of root system, hey, is there anybody who can give an encouraging word to my friend here who's hurting? And so Crazy Squirrel, that, squirrels, take them or leave them. I don't want to get them hit in the road, but I don't, they're not my favorite. So here this one says, I will answer that call and come and give me that message. So that really was a very, very significant story in my animal ally adventures, animal friends. So thank you for listening.
I love that story.
It's a great story.
Thank you. I told you that, Neshi?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening again.
No, it's a good story.
It's my first time. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So let's check in with the chat and see who has some animal stories that they can share. Rob, where are we on the bears like a picnic basket? Yes. He likes candy canes and popcorn. What else are some of his favorites? Does he have any other kind of?
He loves avocados.
I do too.
With salmon.
And one time I tried to give him strawberries, and he said, "Are you crazy? It's not like strawberries."
No strawberries, but avocados.
Yeah, likes oranges, but yeah, no strawberries. I don't know. I kind of just thought, berries, but
Yeah.
I was mistaken.
Oh, he's got his favorites.
Yeah.
Who's next? Violet has 2 wolf totems and several dogs in her life. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Violet, in the comments, maybe you can tell us when and how the totems really work with you. Is it in your just regular spiritual practice, or during certain times when you are looking for, I don't know, courage or empathy or something along those lines? How do the wolves work with you? We'd love to hear that. Thank you, Violet. Who's next? Glenderlin. I'm sorry, I have to get close to read this. She felt threatened in spiritual warfare, then realized a big, luminous white tiger walking beside her.
Wow.
The threat moved away. Ooh. Yes, that good
White tiger.
fierce feline energy. And I love that it was a white tiger.
Mm-hmm.
White tiger. What has been your experience with tigers, Leslie? Have you met a lot of tigers, or white tigers specifically?
I have met a lot of tigers. There was one white tiger that I did talk to, who was actually kind of ill, but I think that the information that we passed on was helpful. So yeah. So luckily, I am very, very blessed that I have some clients that have smaller zoos, some private zoos. So I've been able to talk to almost every kind of animal, except for I haven't got a hippo yet. So if anybody knows someone that has a hippo, contact me. I'm interested in the hippo.
Neshi, have you had experience with tigers or white tigers?
No, nothing directly like that. No. Nope. Journey work, to have a tiger come in, but years and years and years ago, too many to count. There was someone did a shamanic power animal retrieval for me, and what volunteered to return to come back was a spotted leopard, black one. And and she was with me for a lot of years. Yeah, but not a tiger. No tiger.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to know a little bit more about the tigers, I think in the Animal Spirit Guides book with Stephen Farmer, and possibly, now I haven't looked these up, but the Animals Speak.
And Leslie has another book too.
Oh, yeah, Leslie. Yours was, can you hold up the one that you were showing us, please?
Yes, it is.
Animal, a little bit more in the, Animal Talk by Penelope Smith. Ooh, I like that.
I like the picture.
Yeah, Penelope Smith was really a pioneer in animal communication. She's really amazing, and probably most of the animal communicators in the United States probably have been taught from some lineage, from her. And she's pretty amazing. She's written some books and has some CDs, and I enjoy this one. It's a good one.
What was the
Well, I'm going to have to add to my library.
have her hold it up again.
Could you please hold that up again? Neshi is asking, because she is going to, I think, put it in the chat, right? Oh, Neshi's going to put it in the chat. Animal Talk by Penelope Smith. Awesome. Yay!
Yep. So I have mine right here too.
Woo, all right. All right. Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good reference. It's just really, easy, quick cross reference, because not only does it list every animal, but in the back, it lists things that you need. So if you need courage, you look in the back under courage, and it will tell you which animal to call on.
Yep. It has this correspondence back here, this animal spirit guides.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Who is next in our lineup of people who would like to share a story? Rob recently found an animal. Whoops. Say that again.
There you go.
Recently found an animal guide on his druidic path. Awesome. Would you like to share what that is and how that animal has been working with you or has revealed himself, herself to you? Right. Who's next? He's getting ready to put it up, I'm sure.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, I have, okay. I thought Cindy said an empathetic squirrel. Yay. Yes. In fact, it was really ironic because the squirrels that live in my yard used to sit up in the oak tree and bark at Molly and me like it was the kind of a turf war. So I wouldn't necessarily have called squirrels my friends, and then I had that experience.
Yeah.
It'll surprise you from time to time.
Yeah.
We had company here. Oh gosh, it's been quite a few years. Some friends from Michigan actually, and we were doing. They're helping me. We were testing out painting hand drums, right? And the first night that they were here, we were around the fire outside, and Betty wanted to go up to bed because she was tired. That's the mom. She was, a bit older, and she was tired all the travel. And so her daughters were helping her into the house. Little did we know until the next morning, because actually Paul was letting Ginger out at the time we had Ginger, and early in the morning, and he opened up the door between the kitchen and the Four Season to let Ginger out. And he said he felt a whoosh go by him. It's the first time in this house we'd ever had a bat, ever.
Oh.
And yeah, and so, we spent the weekend trying to find this bat. Couldn't find the bat, and thank goodness the guests were not afraid of bats. Me, on the other hand,
Neshi had a bat come in the house when she was trying to let Ginger outside a few years ago. So she's on this story.
and so we couldn't find this bat all weekend. All
Ginger.
Weekend. I know, that's free girl. And so anyway, they left on, I don't know, it must have been Sunday night, something like that. Paul gets up to go to work Monday morning. I'm walking around the house. I got a cup of coffee, and I walked through the living room, and something just did not feel right. And so I went back in there, and I'm looking. I think, what's not right here? And Ginger is laying on the couch, and she's staring at the fireplace. And I'm going, what is that? And so I realized what it was is the bat was hanging off the dental work of the fireplace. I'm home by myself with Ginger. It's like, so I grab her. We go out the garage door, standing in the driveway. I still have my coffee. Grabbed my phone. To Paul, you got to come home now. I found the bat. That was
hanging out.
The one and only time I'd ever had a bat in one of our houses in a really, really long time. and I tease, but I really do think it was Danny and Tina, their energy that needed the bat.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to relate that
Yes,
story.
she found, well, the bat was just hanging out on the mantle work of her fireplace. After the weekend, she couldn't find the bat the whole weekend that her guests were in town. But on Monday morning, with her coffee and with Ginger on the couch, just kind of staring like, something ain't right here, something ain't right. She gets Ginger out of the house. He calls Paul's like, hey, you gotta go home right now. We found the bat. You gotta go now. Woo.
Power animals. They show up when you least expect them.
Yeah. So that is a wonderful segue. Rochelle has a story. Can you put up Rochelle's story? Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to get close to see this. Rochelle says, my late husband Eric and I went to WDW. I'm not quite sure what that is.
Walt Disney World.
Oh, thank you. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Thank you. And Animal Kingdom. Okay, that makes sense. To the safari ride. The truck vehicle did not have windows. We were forced to stop because a rhino had a stance like he was going to charge, but he didn't charge. However, a giraffe was in the distance coming toward us. The giraffe walked slowly and was putting his head where I was sitting. I was concerned that he was going to lick my face with his long tongue. Eric just sat there and laughed. I was about 3 inches from the giraffe. Oh, who wouldn't want to get kissed by a giraffe? I don't know.
I do. I
You
would.
do?
I want a giraffe kiss.
Oh, awesome.
They do have long tongues. They're like 24 inches long. So, but
Wow, that would be a long kiss.
that would be big kiss.
Giraffe's French kiss.
That's a
Oh my
great
God.
story.
Rob, what did you put up there? Oh, their power animals, a grizzly. Awesome.
Me too. Me too.
And they're gentle, but they do as they please. Anyone crossing them will be out in half with a single swipe. If I read that right. Yes, we have a in our local museum, we have a Kodiak bear, stuffed bear, of course, standing upright, and he is almost 9 feet tall. And I heard this, or I read this somewhere, that and I don't have one handy, but imagine a dinner plate, an 8-inch dinner plate, a regular dinner plate, with 4-inch steak knives sticking out of it. That's the size of a bear paw. That I can imagine. You know, I was like, whoa. That I can picture in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Big. And then he said, except for polar bears, they are ornery.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about the animals from Leslie's point of view.
Okay.
About since March and how everything shifted and changed for everyone, including them. Has she heard anything from any of her animal friends about the change that they've felt and witnessed since that V word has come into our lives?
Awesome question. Okay, so for you, Leslie, from Neshi, since March, when we've had this very big change in the world, in life, for the humans, for our society, what have you heard from your animal friends and your animal allies about changes for them? And I'm going to also put my own question in there, that how they've related to us as we're going through our own,
Yeah.
really weirdness. I'm going to say that weirdness.
Well, it's interesting because as soon as we started working from home, or we were, sheltered in place, I put out a video and I put it on my website that I would be willing to talk to people's animals, to talk about the stress, the stress of the energy, the difference, the changes, and I didn't get that many takers. I was kind of surprised. I thought I would get more, but I still had lots of just regular, appointments. And so I would ask the animals, how are you doing? And most of the time they were mostly concerned about their human family. They could feel the change, obviously, in the energy and in, just the shift, I guess.
Yeah.
But they weren't nearly as concerned as for themselves as they were, for the humans. I think that they were, picking up the stressfulness of the changes for them. And interestingly enough, a lot of them were actually kind of happy because their human family was around 24 hours a day now. They were home. Although I know my dogs are, really happy that I'm home. So the only stress that I was really getting from them was just the real big shift in the energy, as well as their human family being stressed out. But I started to check in with a few of them recently, and I thought maybe it would be getting better, but it's not, because once the COVID thing started to fade, then the riots started.
Yeah.
So they're very aware, as they're very, very sensitive, but I think their biggest concern right now is their human family, because we're feeling so much stress from it. And I did have one that said, tell my mom to turn off the news.
Perfect. That's a perfect message.
Really?
So if you don't take nothing else away, your animals want you to turn off the news.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I want to share just a quick snippet about, our animals being happy that we're home. And I'll tell you what, I have another four-legged friend living here. Her name is Samhain because she adopted me on October 28th, 2012. And oh no, she's not around here. She likes to sit and watch me from afar. So she'll be around, but she's not a cuddly four-legged kitty friend at all. Except in the last month, I have a chair in my living room that I call my meditation chair. So after I'm done with work every day, I go sit in my meditation chair, and that's when I just connect with the earth, and I let the whole day just wash off of me. And I usually put on some nice little soft music and meditate. And generally, I'm out. I go somewhere. And when I find myself back here, I will have found my not cuddly kitty has parked herself. Now she likes my solar plexus. She sits right on my solar plex, and she's doing her little, like she's charging me up, like I'm plugged into the kitty power. Before it was my heart a little bit further up, but now she likes my solar plex. Samhain, the amazing wonder kitty. Yes, she is. So that's different. That's we have been just kind of roommates, but now she's part of my meditation experience.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Change.
Gwendolyn has a story for us. What does she have? While doing a healing, a bear and raccoon showed me that the client was really there to siphon her energy. Oh, so as an alert maybe of, hey, kind of strengthen those boundaries.
Hmm.
And speaking of boundaries, Neshi did a wonderful show. Well, it was a mini class. I take that back. It was a mini class. And it was about developing your boundaries.
Mhm.
And really, the way I understood that show, it was about kind of testing to see where your boundaries are now and then how to strengthen them, change them if you need to, and situationally, all of that. Was that in the academy? Okay.
The private group. Yeah.
The private group, Star Nations Academy. So if you are not part of that group, please request to be part of that group. It's closed because, why is it closed, Neshi?
Because it's a place for us to be able to have more personal conversations, because this is a public forum that we're in right now. And some people just feel they can open up a little bit more and share a little bit more when it's really just only our community. And so, and Rob, I think you have that link someplace, don't you? That you can maybe put in the comments. That would be great.
So they can just knock on the door and you'll let them in, but it's just so feel like a safe space,
Right,
to share information
mm-hmm.
and to maybe be a little more open rather than just all out there, hey everybody, I have a power animal, but maybe your neighbors don't know that, or your kids don't know that, all that kind of stuff. So thank you. You said it better than I could. Oh,
she does.
Oh, yes. Cindy is saying in the chat that Leslie looks like an animal tonight. She has ears on top of her head. It's because you were sitting right in front of your favorite picture. See the ears. So we could see the little ears behind you.
Yeah. There you go.
Now, is that an artist interpretation of Brutus, or?
Yeah, this one of Brutus's fans made it. It's like one of those cloth appliques.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
It's in my meditation room. It's really beautiful. And then right above it is a photograph of Lucy, which is the first grizzly bear that I ever talked to. I talked to her, and then a couple minutes later talked to Brutus. So, and then so my meditation room has, bears all over it, of course.
Bear medicine. Awesome. Rob put that in the chat room, and he did put it up on the screen. So being part of the Star Nations Academy group. Man, I can't believe we're right at the top of the hour. We have like just a couple minutes. So the very last thing that maybe we can talk about as a group is maybe we can get Leslie to teach us a class about developing your relationship with the animal kingdom. Hint, hint.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I would like to do that.
I'll be in the front row with my notes and my notepad.
Well, yeah, we could do it lots of different ways, because Leslie already holds her own classes. I don't know if you have anything coming up soon, or we'd love to have you here at Star Nations online. We could easily pull that together.
Ooh. Neshi said that we can have you right there in Toma, Wisconsin at Star Nations Academy.
Or online.
Online.
Yeah.
Online. Do an online class. So anybody from around the world can go ahead and be connected to you. And if you have any upcoming classes that you might be offering for, beginners, intermediates, or, what the prerequisites are, how we can get a hold of you. So if you could tell us what your website is, and maybe Rob could type that into the chat for us, please.
Oh, that would be great. It is ispeaktoanimals.com.
That's so easy. ispeaktoanimals.com. All one word, right?
Yep. ispeaktoanimals.com.
All one phrase. I love it. Okay. So if you really want to get connected with your animal companion, animal friend, or even just want to understand animals better.
Yeah, those that are alive or that have crossed over.
Right.
Talk to Leslie. Seriously.
She's wonderful. She really is.
And what I of course give a personal testimony to Leslie. She really understands the nuances of the personality and your relationship with your animal. Like pet names and things like that, or where you have your special treats, or how you really have that relationship with the animal. Special animals in your life, and how to deepen that friendship and connect even better and communicate better. Because other than Brutus, I don't know of other animals that speak English. I don't know. How does that work?
I hear them in English.
Okay. So they will make themselves known in the language
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay.
Yeah, they speak in pictures. Sometimes they show me pictures. Sometimes they just talk. Sometimes I just get all this information all at once and I know everything about them.
Oh.
And I just need to add one thing for
Yeah.
Leslie, right? Is that Leslie was very not just helpful. It was a peace of mind, a peace of heart. When Ginger was leaving, when she was getting ready to walk on, Leslie helped with that piece. And then when Georgie was ready to come in and he was here, she helped us communicate with him and find out what we needed to do to help him to be able to, to come into the family and take care of him. Right. So she helped us both in a loved furry one to walk on and one that was coming in. So you can.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neshi.
Yeah,
She
translate.
Neshi said that you helped her and her family when Ginger was getting ready to move out. And then when Georgie was just starting to get himself settled, and how he can be a part of the family and how they can all work together as one family unit. I remember that you did a special show talking all about Georgie. And one thing I definitely remember is that he had a special job, and he wanted Neshi to know that he has a job to do in that.
Yeah.
He was really excited about doing that job. So,
And he does. He holds the energy. He literally will lay underneath the table when I'm doing shows. And when I'm doing meditations, he's either just outside the door or he's laying in the meditation room with me. Not on me, but he's in the room with me. Yeah.
he's a big part of the meditation space.
He's actually the spokesperson. He's actually the spokesperson for Star Nations when we have announcements. So I don't know if Leslie's seen those.
He's the spokesperson for Star Nation's announcements. Yeah. So we look forward to any upcoming classes that we can take with you, Leslie, and to develop more of our understanding of how we can work with our animal critters that are living with us, and just be more open and available to those encounters. One quick thing, I know we're a little bit over, and I appreciate everyone staying with us, that the difference between what is a helper, what is an ally, and what is just a visitor to give you some kind of thing. Well, for the past, I'm going to say 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, I have found one single ant in my kitchen. And so I took him and I put him outside. It's like, dude, see you later. Maybe you got on my mail or something, but fine. Have a good life. I'm not going to kill you or anything like that. Just, you can't live here. Okay. A few days later, one of his friends is in here. Now, I'm not talking about hundreds of ants. I'm talking about one single ant. I'm like, now what do you want? Took him outside. Can't live here. Then there was an ant in my car on the driver's, not the driver's, but the passenger side seat. I'm like, what's the message? Obviously, you're here for some reason. One single ant. What is your message? So when I was doing my research, a little bit about ants, I was coming up with diligence and working together and all of that. And I'm still trying to figure out what the meaning of that message is for me, because usually when you think of ants, you think of there are hundreds of billions of them. And they're all scurrying around and they're carrying off your food and your picnic basket and all those sorts of things. But one single ant, that's really going to get your attention, especially when it's on like a white counter and it's one of those large black ants. It's like, hey, I'm here, everybody. Bob Foxy, you know. So I'm still trying to figure out what ant has for me. So
it's right here in the book. Look up ant.
In the book. Okay.
In this one.
I'll have to check out Stephen Farmer. I didn't look at his book.
Yeah, there's an ant in there. Apparently, you have a project that you need to get going on.
Yeah. And
well, I have a few of those.
Ants are all about community.
It does say and get it through to completion.
Oh, that's good. Get it through to completion. And Neshi said about community. Yeah, because working together, you know, that's what they do. They can carry like 8 times their weight, I think.
Yeah.
But they got to do it all together. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in this evening. Thank you to my wonderful guests. This was such a treat. And thank you for just being so open to immediately when I reached out with this idea. Leslie was, I'm in. And she was like, yeah, sounds great. So I appreciate your excitement and your willingness. And then it was just easy after that. I mean, I had this all lined up about 2 weeks ago, and it's just like, here we are. We get to talk about a subject that we love. So thank you all for tuning in tonight, live and in the archives. And as I close every time we get together, Sat Nam, I am that I am. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a beautiful night. Bye, Leslie. Bye, Neshi. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Julie.